All right, everyone, we will get started on this Mitchell Elementary Return to Learn webinar. I want to thank everyone for coming on this evening to attend this. We do know that there are a lot of questions, and really the intent of having all of these meetings this week was so that we could really answer building specific questions. You know, I know that we send out a lot of district information, but you often don't send your students to the district, you send them to a building. And so to be able to answer those questions is really important. And if you did have a chance to take a look at our timeline, we are doing 8 of these this week. And so for that reason, this particular one, we are going to cap it at 1 hour and 10 minutes. So as far as the structure this evening is going to go, Justin Jeffs, the principal at Mitchell Elementary, him and his team are going to have a presentation. They're going to talk and really go over some specific things around Return to Learn that are probably also in their plan. And then after that, we will have some question and answer time. And so we're actually going to be doing questions a couple different ways this evening. The first way is if you look on the bottom of Zoom, there's a button that says Q&A. You can actually start plugging in some of your questions right now. I would encourage you maybe to pause a little bit because some of them might be addressed in their presentation. But if you do have questions, you can feel free to start putting those in. And the team at Mitchell Elementary actually will start answering them as even the presentation is going on. And so it's a really great way to just kind of get a lot of your questions answered right away because we know that there are a lot of them. And then once the presentation is over, there will be an opportunity to ask in-person questions. And the way that we're going to be able to do that this evening is on the lower left-hand corner of Zoom, there's a button that says raise hand. And so if you click on that, once we get to that portion of the evening, we'll be able to see who does have their hand raised. We'll provide permissions to speak and you can ask your question live and in person. And so we'll be managing the back end of this webinar in that format. Before I do kick it over to the Mitchell team, I did want to point out one thing. A lot of the content and information that they're going to share today will have come from their Return to Learn plan. And I wanted to provide an opportunity, if you haven't had a chance to take a look at that and how you can find that. So if you look at our website, ames.k12.ia.us, you can just Google it as well. It's the first website that comes up. Right over here on the right, you can click on Return to Learn. And we have actually a lot of really good information on this page, including all of our building specific plans. So if you click on Plan, and then if you click on Mitchell Elementary, you'll be able to find their Return to Learn plan. The slides that are going to be presented today, they're also going to be on this page next to their plan. And we'll get those up tomorrow. We got all 3 of them that we did yesterday up already. If you do want to have a chance to watch this video again, or maybe share it with a family or friend who didn't have a chance to see that, we are actually recording live on YouTube right now. If you click on Timeline, you can see that all of our building specific plans or meetings are right here. So you may have clicked on this Zoom link right here for Mitchell, but you can see that yesterday's recordings are already posted on our website. So you'll be able to access this exact video tomorrow on our website. So with that said, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm gonna kick it over to the team at Mitchell.
All right. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate the introduction. My name is Justin Jeffs. I'm the principal at Kate Mitchell Elementary. For those of you who are new coming to school this year, for a lot of you, you probably already know me. I just want to start by saying I'm really excited to try to start working towards our new normal. And while that may look a little bit different up front, it's closer to what we want at Mitchell, I know, and our school district as far as getting to see the kids again. And have an interaction again. It's been a long time. And I know as a parent myself, it's challenging as a parent. You know, your kid's been home since March and you're trying to do your job if you have a job and really take care of your kids too. And that can be challenging and we understand that. But I want you to know we've been working really hard down here at Mitchell, trying to prepare for September 8th when we start our school. And we're gonna just spend a little bit of time, the next 30 minutes or so, going through a slideshow. And I'm just gonna kind of read through it. I know you're gonna have questions along the way, like Eric said, and you can certainly post those. And we got a team of teachers working right alongside of me here to answer those questions live for you. And then we'll have that opportunity at the end for you to raise your hand. If for some reason I don't go through and answers to your questions that you do have. I'll try to provide about 30 minutes for that also. So that's kind of the structure, which is what you see on that first slide. Oh, we kind of already went through this one, didn't we? So basically it's just saying the same thing. You'll have that Q&A piece. You can hit down the bottom of your screen, post questions. We'll answer them along the way. At the end, you can raise your hand and I'll try to answer live. Go ahead and go past the table of contents there. Okay. Parent choices for school. All right, so options for school. There's a 100% virtual learning option. As you all know, students are assigned an online teacher. They will participate in virtual learning, including video lessons, online assignments, and other practice opportunities. And that's a parent choice. There's also a parent choice to participate in the hybrid model that we're going to start with, which is consists of both on-site and online. Students come on site at least once a week, and students learn online on the other days during that week. So the 100% virtual learning, I know there's been a lot of questions around this and what does that look like? And we're going to kind of talk a little bit about that today. Your child will be assigned a teacher from the district. Sorry, I need to minimize my window here real quick. There we go. Your child will be assigned a teacher from the district who is designated to teach 100% online students. Families have until August 21st to choose 100% virtual learning or whether they want to participate in the hybrid plan. Families will be able to change their plans once per month. There is a due date for you if you choose to change your mind. It'll be the last Monday of each month if you want to change. And I've linked there the request to transition document. Just know that this slideshow, if it's not already, it will be up on our website, on the Mitchell website under the Ames School District today, most likely, and you will have access to all that stuff. So. All right, so some of the frequently asked questions that we've got about 100% virtual land would be, if we do online learning, will we have a teacher from Kate Mitchell? The answer is the online teacher will be a certified Ames CSD teacher, but that may or may not be a Mitchell teacher. And part of that is in relation to, we're still collecting data from teachers and identifying who will stay home and do online teaching and who will be at school doing the hybrid. And so until we have all those numbers, it's just really hard to know. But what we can tell you is it will be an Ames certified teacher teaching your child their online learning if they're 100%. We signed up to go online. Is it too late to change our minds and come in person? Nope, you still have time. You can change your mind up till August 21st for the first go around to start school on September 8th. I filled out the application for online learning. Have I been approved? The answer is yes. I know I'd received a few questions of, will we get some sort of feedback if I filled it out? Do I get feedback saying I'm approved? No, just know that if you filled out an application for online learning, you are approved. So you're automatically approved automatically. So, all right. Hybrid model. When students are on site, this presentation will cover guidelines that have been outlined to keep students healthy and safe while on school property. When students are online, classrooms will be using Seesaw or Google Classroom. I know the Mitchell families, if you've been here, you're used to the Google Classroom. So last spring when we went to online learning, that's what our primary platform is for K-5. Now you may see the Seesaw links within the Google Classroom, but that Google Classroom will be our K-5 main platform. Teachers will be posting assignments for students to complete. The online work will be required when students are not at school, and attendance will be taken by the work being completed. So just remember that the mode that we're going to be in this year is a little different than last spring. Last spring was not required. It will be required this school year, which means that we do need to take attendance. We do need to do grading. We need to do assessments, make it as close as possible to what it looks like if they were right here at school. So the phased in hybrid model. What you're seeing here is the top 4 rows. When it says K-5 25%, that's what the first 4 weeks of school will look like. You'll notice the Monday is blank because we don't go to school on Monday. School starts September 8th, which is a Tuesday, which is why you see the first number there. Students will be identified soon with a number. And so your child will be either a 1, 2, 3, or 4. And based on your child's number, that's the day of school they come to school. So for instance, the first week starts on a Tuesday. 2s will come that day. 3s will come on Thursday. 4s will come on Friday. And then the next week, when we get into that first full week, we will do 1s on Mondays, every Monday, 2s on Tuesday, 3 on Thursday, 4s on Friday. Wednesday is for the first 4 weeks is a no contact, meaning kids won't come to school on Wednesday. That'll be an opportunity for staff to do some planning, some PLCs, and some professional development on their end during that time. So that's what that looks like. The last 2 rows are assuming we're going to move into the 50% model, the phased in model on week 5. Now the 1s and 2s are one cohort or one class. So if there were 6 kids coming in and they were a 1 and 6 kids were a 2, now that class would be 12. So 1s and 2s would be on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday the first week, and 3s and 4s would be on Thursday, Friday. And then you'll see the next week, the last week there, 1s and 2s come Monday, Tuesday, 3s and 4s will go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that Wednesday will be that alternating day on whether the kid comes 2 days a week or 3 days a week. The goal is in a 2-week period of time, 10 school days, that your child will have come half that time, which is 5 days. That's why we had the alternating Wednesday determine whether they come 3 or 2 days that week. All right, so this here is just a sample schedule of hybrid learning, and it is flexible. So if your child's at home, so if I'm a 1 and I come on Mondays, so my 2, 3, 4 days will be at home. If I'm a parent, and this is a first grade sample, this is what I could do if I'm able to support my child during the day, the school day. This is just a sample schedule of what you could follow. We're going to be flexible, knowing that everybody's situation is different, meaning if you don't get to this work until 3 in the afternoon and starting the schedule, then that's what it is, or 5 or what have you. It'll be all kind of asynchronous, meaning it won't be live. What you can expect as a parent for the online stuff is you will be given you'll receive a virtual lesson in reading, writing, math, social studies or science, and fine arts daily. And those will be posted, and those will be anywhere from kind of around the 10-minute mark, a virtual instructional piece, and then there will be practice opportunities to follow. But now the time frame in which you do that is really what works with your schedule as a family. This is just a sample schedule if you were able to do it during the day to kind of follow similar to what we do in a school day. Ames district-wide expectations. Face coverings. Students and staff are required to wear a face covering while at school. If a student or staff member wears a face shield, they will still need to have a face covering. So what that means is a face shield alone is not enough. And that goes for our staff too, is we have to ensure we have a face covering, but we can also wear a face shield if we want to. Students will need to have a face covering during arrival and dismissal. They will take their face coverings with them when they go home. Face coverings will only be removed during meals and when at recess or teacher-led mask breaks outdoors. The school will be providing a face covering for any student that doesn't come to school with one. I encourage you, if you're able to get your child a face covering, that might be best, just because then you can make sure it fits well and this and that. The school issued one may or may not fit great for your child, so it's first choice if you're able to get your own child a face mask that works well for them and that's comfortable for them. But certainly we will have them on hand at school, and we can provide them that also. And there's a link that you'll be able to go into once it's on the website that talks about the face covering guidelines. All right, cohorts. Each classroom will be considered a cohort. So whenever we say the word cohort, it means the class, and they will remain as a group throughout the entire day. Protocols are keeping cohorts together throughout the day have been developed. There will be limited to no in-person contact with other cohorts. This presentation will outline various practices that each cohort will follow for the safety of staff and students. Drinking fountains will not be available this year. Each school will have refill stations around the building. Please provide your child with a refillable water bottle daily. Please teach your child how to open, refill, and close their water bottle. We will have extra water bottles at school if your child needs one. Before school, so we are going to ask families to do a few things before the kids come to school each day, and that includes a temperature check of your child at home And we will have a COVID-19 symptom checklist there, a link that you'll be able to click on, and it kind of takes you through a process to do that. Make sure you check your child for their face coverings, make sure they got them on hand before they leave the house. And so they have them at school. Face coverings will be required as soon as a child or adult is on school grounds. So I want to make that clear. Anytime anyone comes on school grounds and gets out of their car and is on school grounds, they need to have a face covering, and that's both for a child or an adult. We got to have that. After school, make sure your kid washes their hands when they arrive home, and make sure they take their face coverings home to be washed daily if at all possible. Visitors at school. Our administration has approved a number of people that can come into the building. Student teachers, practicum students, mental health services, AmeriCorps tutors, our AEA, which is also known as Area Education Agencies for Individual Education Plans, therapy-based services, school pictures, and state-required DHS personnel. Our guidelines: parents and volunteers will in general be discouraged from entering the school building. If you need to speak to someone at the building, please call or email, and a virtual meeting can be scheduled. For an example, a lot of times, if a parent chooses they need to pick up their kid for an appointment or for some reason early, we're just going to ask you to buzz the ringer out by the front door. Our secretary will talk to you through the mic, and then we will bring your child to you outside. And really, the goal is just not to have a lot of additional people in the building. And you can imagine, if someone were to test positive, just trying to do that back tracing, we want to have a good idea of who all were exposed. And if we're allowing a lot of people in the building at any given time, that makes it more challenging to do. So we will certainly meet you outside for all those needs. But if you need to talk to me or a teacher, the best thing to do is to call, and we schedule a meeting or we do a phone call. Okay. Other district policies: field trips. Will not be able to attend any in-person field trips at this point in time. Student desks will be spaced 3 to 6 feet apart. Student services: students will still receive any IEP, 504, ELP, and ESL instruction services from support teachers. And so any child that's on an individual education plan and special education, 504 accommodations will be met. Our ELP, extended learning, will happen, and so our English as a second language, it will also happen. That's what those acronyms are. Okay. All right. COVID procedures. The nurse will have a well room and a sick room to provide services to your child. So this year, on a traditional year, we just have one nurse's room, but this year we know we need to have two. And so we'll have a well room and a sick room in the building, and they'll be up towards the front. Example, a well room, students go to take medicine, versus sick room if we suspect COVID symptoms. So we will ensure that we keep those students separated. Parents will be notified if there is a positive case in their student's classroom. The district does have permission to quarantine a classroom if needed. The ACSD website has the most up-to-date COVID information, and we've linked that there, and you'll be able to access that COVID positive decision flowchart. Arrival and dismissal. On the bus, students and drivers are required to wear face coverings. Students will be sat next to a sibling when possible, and/or students will have an assigned seat. Hand sanitizing will happen. Buses will be cleaned twice daily. Before school, students will be let in and they will go directly to their classroom at 8:10 a.m. Students will walk around to their designated door to enter the school. Staff will be here to help guide the students. And so what that looks like is we will have signage out in the front yard. It's visible to everybody, and it will we'll have some signs that show like K1, and we'll have arrows, and we'll have staff out there to help. But K1 are going to come to the front doors, and that's where they will enter. 2-3 will walk around to the south side of the building and enter through the 2-3 pod, and we'll have signage there showing everything. And then 4-5 the same. So we will have grade levels entering at different entry points, and we will have signage to show exactly where that's at, and we'll have additional adults outside to help ensure that goes smoothly with social distancing. After school, students will stay with their classroom cohort. Teachers will walk their students to their designated area after school location. We ask that parents follow dismissal procedures and not congregate in large groups. So we just ask that if you're waiting for your child outside to walk home or what have you, that you keep social distance, you got your mask on, and we'll bring the kids to you. Arrival begins no sooner than 8:10 a.m. Students will go straight to their classroom. And so what that looks like is they'll enter through their designated doors, entry doors at 8:10 a.m. They'll go straight to their rooms. And we will have breakfast in the classrooms also. And I think I talk about that later here. So all kids will go straight to their classroom, and then the teacher will disperse them a few at a time to go to lockers to ensure social distance. So that will be a little bit different this year, where they used to go to the lockers first when they came in, and then their classroom. We will be much more structured this year in that avenue by having kids go straight to classroom, and then we will build a schedule for going to the lockers. Dismissal, the final bell this year will be at 3:10 p.m. So that's also a little bit different. And this is going to be Monday through Friday. So 8:10 school, we open the doors. At 3:10, we dismiss. In the past, we've dismissed at 3:30 on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays, and we've had early dismissal on Wednesdays. That's not going to be how we're doing it. To start the year, we're going to be going every day from 8:10 to 3:10, and that includes Wednesdays. No early dismissal on Wednesdays, as mentioned. All right, breakfast. Breakfast will be prepackaged and served in a paper bag. Students will not have different meal choices for breakfast. It'll just be one choice. Students will eat breakfast in the classroom, and they will not go to the lunchroom during that time. Breakfasts will be brought down to the classrooms. Lunch. Students will be washing their hands before and after lunch. They will have 2 to 3 options for lunch, as they do usually. So that is a little bit different than breakfast. They will have a few options, and the teachers will get that count and send that to our food service. Students will be eating lunch in socially distanced spaces, and that may consist of the cafeteria and assigned seats. We've designated an appropriate distance, but primarily it will happen in the classroom on most given days. Students will remove face coverings while eating. Home lunch. So just please make sure that your child is able to open their food items independently. I don't know if I need to read all that to you. You can see that there's sometimes we have items that are kind of challenging to open. If you know they're going to have those, you might do a little practice if you can, just so we don't have everybody asking adults to help out with that. Fine arts. All right, PE, music, art, and media. Fine arts will be providing lessons to students at home and on site. When on site, fine arts could be in the child's general education classroom. We've also identified zoning areas outside in the grass for fine arts to be able to bring the kids outside to have their fine arts also. PE may be in the gym at times, but we're going to encourage outside as much as possible if weather permitted for that fine art piece. Library books. Kindergarten, first and second grade will have a set of books delivered to the classrooms each week. So our TTL, our teacher librarian, will bring a whole bunch of books down to each class each week. It's K2, and then the classroom teacher will check those out to the kids. So that will happen there. And then when they turn them in, the books will need to be quarantined for 96 hours. That's the current guidelines that we've got. So they will quarantine those books for 96 hours before they redistribute to kids. Third through fifth graders will be able to actually place books on hold through our Destiny library system. They can do that on their computers, and so they'll be able to do the holds for their own books. There will be a lesson given at the beginning of the year to ensure everybody knows how to do this. Same thing goes for this. Books will quarantine for 96 hours when they return to the library. Recess. So students will only be playing with kids in their own classroom. So their own classroom cohort, same thing, in order to limit exposure while at school. Classrooms will alternate playgrounds daily. So we're kind of zoning the playground. So one, like the orange playground will be one zone, the blue, another zone, blacktop, grass area, another zone. And so each classroom will be designated a zone for each recess, and that will alternate. But they'll know exactly where they need to play in that area. That way, if something were to happen and a student in the classroom was exposed, we'd be able to trace that pretty well and kind of keep tabs on that, knowing that they didn't intermingle with other classrooms during recess. And so they'll just kind of have their own zone per recess. And like I said, that will alternate to ensure that they all get to do all the different things out there. So this is also a little bit different. We've always shared recess equipment before. That'll be a little bit different this year. So each classroom will have their own set of playground equipment. And we've got quite a bit of stuff we've got on order. So each classroom can have a bag with a bunch of recess equipment. They'll include recess balls, jump ropes, frisbees, and other age-appropriate activities. And so their own class will be the only ones playing with that equipment during recess. Classroom supplies. We will not be having community supplies, and instead students will have their own materials and supplies when needed. Classroom books and materials that are shared will be properly cleaned and quarantined for at least 3 to 5 days before redispersing. Please print your child's name on all of their supplies. Band, choir, and orchestra. Choir and orchestra is optional for all 4th and 5th grade students. Band is optional for all 5th grade students. Band and orchestra lessons will all happen virtually at home. There will be no pull-out lessons at any of the elementary schools. More information about the 3 ensembles will be emailed to parents. Chromebooks. Students will continue to use their current Chromebook for the time being. New elementary devices are on back order due to COVID. Chromebooks will be taken home daily. Students who do not currently have a district-provided device will be issued one during the first weeks of school. 5th grade graduates will take their current device to the middle school with them. The goal is also to ensure that we send a charger home with each kid. That way they'll have a charger at home, and then here they're able to charge here also, but that charger can stay home. We do have some bags that we've tried to order for the Chromebooks, but they are back ordered, but hopefully they will arrive at some point and we can distribute those also. Before school begins, please talk with your child every day about wearing a mask. Have them practice wearing a mask for longer periods of time. Practice good hand washing techniques and stay positive and excited about answering your child's questions. Mitchell PTA. So why join PTA? We want to be able, you're able to connect with the teachers and the other parents outside of the classroom, show students that you are involved in their education, be a voice in your child's school. We have a PTA calendar that will be out if you don't have it currently. There's ways that you can help through Amazon Smiles. Choose Kate Mitchell Elementary as your charity on smile.amazon.com. They donate 0.5% of your purchase to our school. Box tops, download the app on your phone and scan your receipts, and credit automatically comes back to our school. Questions and answers. So some frequently asked questions that we've received this far prior to today is, who will my child's teacher be? As per usual, Ames will release class rosters during the week prior to school starting. That's our goal. We know it's a little bit more challenging this year because we're having to put them in cohorts, smaller percentages, right? 25% to start in each class. And so based on the data that we receive, and like the timeline right now is the 21st when we'll receive everybody's information back on who's going to go online and who's going to participate in the hybrid. It'll be a little bit. It's going to be early September probably before we can really kind of release those though. Will my children be in the same hybrid group? 1, 2, 3, 4 group A, B? Yes, the district is making this a priority. So if you have multiple children that attend Ames schools, it doesn't matter if they have one at Mitchell, one at middle school, one at high school, that really the goal is to ensure that all your kids will go on the same day. So they'll have the same number or letter assigned to them, because we know that makes it a lot more convenient for most. So how different will learning be for virtual learning versus hybrid? Teachers will provide rigorous learning for both models using the same district essential standards. So I know there's been some concern out there as if my child goes 100% online, is that going to be a whole different experience? No, we're going to try to tie that in as closely as possible to what's happening at school. So basically what that means is if your kids, and I may have already mentioned this, but if your kid's 100% online, whether they have a Mitchell teacher or a fellows teacher, it's not going to matter that much because we're going to ensure that their online teacher has daily or weekly PLCs, opportunities to collaborate with the teachers in the same grade at the building level each week to ensure alignment. They're going to do the same essential standards that the district we've created for reading, math, social studies, science, writing, all that stuff. They're going to get the same essential standards. Even if the daily instruction looks a little bit different, like at Mitchell, maybe we're doing lesson 1-1 in math today. Maybe fellows is doing 1-2. That none of that's going to matter in the grand scope of things because in the end, they're going to get the same exact standards taught to them with the same rigor. They'll be using the same assessments that we've created as a district. So it will be systematic. And so I want you to put yourself at ease there. That experience is not going to be all that different when it comes to rigor and what they're learning. What about ELP success and ESL? Students will receive pull-out services in these areas, so none of that's going to change. Should I label my child's supplies? Yep. You can label all the supplies with your child's name. It's a good idea. Can I request for my child to be in an A or B group? At this time, no, we can't guarantee certain groups based on family requests. How much do parents have to help with online learning? Well, you know your child better than anyone else. We also know that primary grades may require more support than upper grades. We hope to have parent support in both online and hybrid models of learning. And so we're going to try to put together opportunities for parents to meet with us and to be able to hear the concerns or questions about instruction happening at home and be able to assist however we can support you. We're going to try to make that happen. How much screen time will my child have this year? Students will probably be on the computer more than typical year, but teachers will work to plan a mix of various learning experiences for your child. So this is just a link I just added recently. It is a public document, the ACSD decision matrix, and basically, I don't know if you can click on that or not, Kelsey, that link, but basically, these are the metrics that we're going to be using, and I don't know if Jenny, if you want to talk about that or not, but basically this is the metrics that we will be using in AIMS to identify what model we should be in. And so you'll notice on the left it talks more about the community, the Story County, and how many percentage of positive cases we have, and then we were also going to be taking into account what is the absent rate for students of two or more consecutive days in the Ames school district. And basically it'll identify whether it's recommended that we're 100% on site in a hybrid model, or if we should be totally remote online learning. And so it was important that we had a formula that we could look at as a district and to identify what are we going to use to kind of guide us in our decision making when it comes to the different modes and models that we may be in this year. So that's what this is, and there's a lot of information on there, but you're able to see that and go to that and read it in depth at your own time. All right, so other questions. So that's the end of my slideshow. And I know that, well, not my other computer logged out. I know that you've been asking questions along the way, and I'm going to go to that here. Just one second.
Yeah, Justin, I can jump in.
Yeah, go for it.
Really a lot of good Q&A questions in the Q&A, and I know that your team has been answering them. I do want, and we may be able to answer some of them live as well, but I do want to pivot a little bit, and you've gone through your presentation, really great information. We will be opening it up to having in-person questions. So if you do have a question that you would like to ask Justin or the team at Mitchell, you can feel free to do that. All you have to do is on the lower left-hand corner, you can hit the hand raising button, and we'll be able to see that you have raised your hand, and we will offer permissions for you to ask your question. In the meantime, I will open it up to your team if there are any that haven't been answered. It looks like almost all of them have been answered, so this is great. But if there are any that we would like to talk about in person, I did have one question for you, Justin. Can you talk a little bit about, a little bit more about that week right before school starting and what that looks like for, parent-teacher conferences?
Yeah, absolutely. So the week of the 31st, I believe, if I'm correct there, August 31st, that week there, our staff will be on site, and they will be reaching out to each family and calling them and touching base with each of the family that's on their roster, and they will be asking them questions on certain things, just and get to know your child, and we will during that time also be asking questions to kind of identify what is kind of the best mode for your child. There are a few different criteria things that we'll be asking to identify whether your child will be coming 1 day, 2 days, or all days of the hybrid mode on site. And so that will be part of those conference times, but just know that you will be in contact with your classroom teacher assigned to your child the week of August 31st. We will also be having IEP meetings for any child that is qualified for special education. We will be also having those meetings for all of our IEPs the week of the 31st.
All right, great, thank you. We do have a couple hands raised, so we'll get started on those. Emily, you can go ahead.
Hi, you guys. Thank you so much. I first of all just want to say how much as a parent I appreciate the really quality and constant communication we've gotten from you guys. It's been kind of a peaceful thing in a very chaotic time. So thank you. My question was, knowing that we're not going to be meeting the 50% threshold as determined by Governor Reynolds, is this built into the end of the year then so that we won't have to make up instruction time? And I apologize if I missed this. I just am trying to think ahead about what the end of the year might look like.
No, it's a really great question. Superintendent Reisner, I will kick this one over to you.
Can you repeat that question? I'm sorry, my computer's breaking up. If I go off,
We'll fill
Dr.
in for you.
Hawkins, will you take over for me? It's saying unstable, so I missed, it was breaking up.
Superintendent Reisner, would you like me to just take the question now?
Sure, that'd be great. I'm sorry about that.
More than happy to help. Again, my name is Jeff Hawkins. I'm the Executive Director of Education for the district. So again, the question was, given that the phased in hybrid approach will not meet the 50% as dictated by Senate File 2310, the governor's proclamations about what's appropriate, how will that impact the remainder of the year? We are currently working. We have submitted an application to the state to have a waiver, to see if they would grant us a waiver to count those hours. Once we get that answer, we'll be able to determine our next steps then. If indeed that does not count, if we're not able to count those hours during that first month, the answer, I believe, to your question would be no. We would need to make some adjustments to our calendar. That may mean extending time at the end of the year. That also may mean looking at how we use time during the year differently. We have to get to 1,080 required hours. We can do that in a few different ways. We can look at some days that we currently don't use for instruction differently. We can look at some of our built-in vacation time differently, or we can look to extend the end of the year. I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you.
Claudette, you can go ahead. There you go.
Hello.
We can go now.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. My question is, so parents don't have the option to have their kids to start at home and reevaluate in 6 weeks?
You do have the option to start online, as you mentioned. I think I heard your question right. You can start online. You just need to fill out that information on the website for that, and then after each month, actually, you'll have an opportunity to change your mind on delivery modes. So, say after the first month, you decided, well, actually, I'd like my child to try going to school in the hybrid mode. You can sign up to do that, and you will do that, and then so you will have the option each month to change your mind if you'd like. So I think that answers your question, doesn't it, or did I hear you wrong?
No, you heard me correctly. It's
Okay.
just that I was just wondering, because I'm going with a first grader, so I'm real nervous, and I'm like,
Understood.
I got, it's health issues in my house.
Yes,
So,
I fully understand.
yeah, so I was just, you answered it correct. I mean, yeah, you answered. That's the question that I had.
Thank you.
You're
So
welcome. Thank you.
I will take a moment and I'll pivot a little bit and go back to our website, because I know we do send a lot of information, and there's a lot coming at parents, and we are fully aware of that. So again, from our homepage, if we hit on return to learn, under this right here, online request form, this form will be open until 3 o'clock on Friday if you want to request online learning to start the school year. But of course, there is an opportunity to also come back on site if you would prefer that, or if you wanted to start on site, you could go to online learning. And so under resources, we have provided some parameters on how you can do that. So this is how you can request to transition between learning models. If you click on this document, it will have more information there on how to do that. But of course, you know, we wanted to provide the opportunity to be able to transition from, you know, start the school year in one model and be able to transition to the next. I think at this point, I think it would be great if we could talk a little bit, you know, I think there's always some questions around, you know, like what happens if a student or staff test positive? And I think we could probably maybe answer several questions on that front right now.
And Eric, there's also Christy Mixdorf was going to answer a question that's in the Q&A as well.
That sounds great. Do we want to talk about the metrics a little bit, how we could use that and some of those processes, and then we'll go over to Christy's question?
Sure.
Kathy, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Just to clarify, talking about what happens if we have an exposure, was that the question you wanted? Okay, yep. Sorry, just wanted to confirm. So if we are working in partnership with the Story County Health Department on making decisions on what to do in case of a student or staff positive COVID and how that exposure affects our students. So there is a process flow that was published out today that gives the specific details, but basically if we do have a positive COVID test reported to us, we confirm that, we gather some data, and then collaborate with Story County Health to determine next actions. We overall get to decide if we do need to quarantine a classroom and close a classroom, or if it's more limited than that.
All right, great, thank you. And we did post what Kathy referred to on our website as well under the resources tab of our Return to Learn portion of our website. So it is there. It was also included in today's district communication. So it might still be sitting in your inbox. Christy, did you want to talk a little bit about the question in the Q&A? We talked a little bit about 100% online and will there be synchronous learning?
Yeah, there was a couple of questions in the Q&A about the synchronous and asynchronous learning opportunities on our remote campus. So I thought it would be easier to say it live than type it in. So for our students who are accessing us 100% remotely, there are opportunities for both. The majority of the direct instruction and independent practice will happen in an asynchronous fashion, meaning you and your student and your family can decide how that fits into your day and your schedule that you have. But there will also be opportunities for small group instruction that will be scheduled by your student's online teacher. And there will also be community building opportunities that are happening daily in our remote campus. So students will have a chance to talk with each other and interact and build that community and connection there too. So they'll have a combination of both. We want to make it as flexible as we possibly can, but we know the importance of that connection and interaction and feedback that's done verbally for teachers. It's great questions. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Christy. Justin, I'm gonna throw a question your way. Can you talk a little bit about attendance? And the question in the Q&A is, what happens if my child misses the assigned day that they were to be in class? And then can you talk broadly about attendance as well? I know you touched on some of it in your presentation.
Yeah, certainly. So we will be taking attendance daily for students who are supposed to be here on any given day, just like we normally would if we were in full session. So yes, if a child is absent from a school day that they're supposed to be here on site, if they're in the hybrid mode, we would be counting them absent. Just like any time, we would hope that a parent calls us before school or at the beginning of the day to kind of let us know what's going on. But yes, daily attendance would be taken there. As far as the remote goes, as far as when they're asynchronous or online at home, we understand families have schedules, right? And as I mentioned earlier, your daily schedule might not work well with our daily schedule, right? And you may not be able to work with your kid at 9 a.m. for reading. And we understand that there will be more flexibility in that, and because we understand those situations. And so attendance will look a little bit different that way. We won't be quite as critical. We will be able to see when your child completes an assignment. So that will kind of let us know that they're following along and doing their work. I do want to stress the importance of that when we teach this year, we're not really letting off the gas pedal when it comes to instruction. We want to be able to provide your child the academic education they would receive in a normal typical year, meaning we're going to teach 5 days a week, and so the instruction will continuously move forward Monday through Friday. And so some students will be at home on certain days, and we want to I encourage you to try to stay on top of things with your child as much as possible, and try to have them sometime within the day receive that instruction virtually, even if it's later in the evening, just because we will continually move forward with instruction, and each day will build on each other in the different subject matters.
Great, thank you. We do have a little bit more time left in this session. I see one more hand raised, and so we're going to get to Megan. But if you do have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, and we'll be able to answer those questions as well. Megan, go ahead.
Excuse me. Hi, I appreciate the non-shared supplies. I was wondering, are those planned to be kept in children's backpacks where they will come home for those at-home days in hybrid, or should we be planning to purchase additional supplies for at home?
Yeah, so I don't know if I could allow a teacher who's planning for this to talk, or I'll talk for them. Does somebody want to take that? One of the staff members?
Sure. One thing that we're trying to make happen with the school supplies, I would say they should travel in a backpack. I know that's a little sketchy with transfer, but traveling in a backpack back and forth would mean, for example, I'm the music teacher, so we're looking to put together personal music instrument kits for the kids, and having 2 of those kits for each student would be very expensive and nearly impossible. So with that case, that kit would need to travel back and forth between home for the online lessons. But a general classroom teacher could be able to maybe speak more to what their situation looks like.
I think on the school supply list, for a lot of kids, they come with pencil bags or pencil boxes, and it wouldn't be uncommon for a teacher to go ahead and just let those bags travel back and forth, knowing that the kids will be spending, for a lot of our students, they'll be spending more time, and especially initially, at home in a week versus at school. So we were happy to try to have those travel back and forth. So as a parent, that doesn't put any kind of hardship on you to have to purchase double, if you will. So just know that we will plan to send some supplies home every time they go home, just because we know that we want to make sure everybody's got what they need.
So I would suggest that you not purchase double, and the teachers will share this information out with you, how it will be handled for each classroom when they meet with you that first week of conferences. So don't rush out right now and get double supplies.
Great questions. And, thank you for everyone who is working in the Q&A as well. I know there's a lot of great questions there. If there are any others, that would like to ask a question in person, we are wide open right now, so we can certainly do that. In the meantime, I did want to take an opportunity, we've really been taking a look at the benefit to not only our staff but also parents on these types of meetings. And we are exploring having more of those, as we move into a bit more of a virtual world with Zoom. We do find great value in hosting these meetings. And so although we might not have another big one for Mitchell specifically before the start of the school year, we certainly are exploring the possibility of how can we have more of these throughout the school year, because we know that you know, even once we start the school year, there will be a lot more questions. I haven't looked in the Q&A. Are there any others that we want to answer live?
Superintendent Reisner, I think there's a question about the plan to move from 25% to 100%. Do you want to talk about that?
You bet. I'd be happy to. I'm looking at is it in the open questions?
Yes.
Yep, and I can ask it for you if that's
Please
helpful.
do.
Yeah, so there's currently a plan for 4 weeks. That's the phased hybrid. And then we are going to go from 25% to 50% once we get into the hybrid. Is there a plan to go from the 50% and all the way up then to the 100% on site?
Great question. Yes. So we will be watching daily the metrics, and if the metrics show that we could go into a fully face-to-face 100% on-site model, of course we would do that. We all want our kids back at school, and we want our teachers back at school. So we're looking forward to that time when we're able to do that. So again, we'll watch those metrics every day. We're watching both the district numbers as well as the Story County numbers. And if we get to a place where we know it's safe to go back to school, we would return fully face-to-face for all students. We would still, having said that though, I want to clarify, if you've opted to have your child participate fully on our online campus, and I probably just used the wrong name for that, but I'll get that down. You would still be able to stay in that model if you didn't want to have your child come back into school. So that model online is available all year, regardless of whether or not we come back to school face-to-face. That's a great question, though.
Yeah, that is absolutely a great question. So here's the opposite question. It just came into the Q&A, so I think we can talk about it as well. What if our metrics go the other way? So rather than, you know, trying to go to 100% on site, what if our metrics indicate going the other way?
Yep. So the way that would work, if, again, we'll be watching those every day. If we move into 2 consecutive days where our metrics indicate we need to be in a different learning model, then we call a special board meeting and meet with the board, make the recommendation to the board, and then the board acts on the recommendation. All that can happen within 24 hours, sometimes even within the same day if it's an emergency situation.
All right, I'm going to provide a last call here for any hands if you want to ask an in-person question. We're getting through the final questions in the Q&A, and so this has really been really great questions, and I just want to thank everyone for coming on here.
Eric, are you prepared to share a percentage or number of students from Mitchell that you have received requests for?
Yep, absolutely. I can talk a little bit about that. So right now, we do have the form open to request online. And so that is to start the school year remotely. So for the students who do not request that, then we are assuming that they will come to Mitchell Elementary and all of our other buildings. So currently right now at Mitchell Elementary, and this was actually just communicated in our district communication today, we had 78 students request online to start the school year. And that's approximately 24% of the students at Mitchell Elementary. All right, Justin, I think we're working through the last couple questions. I don't have it up. Are there any that we do want to answer live, Mitchell team?
I think if you could answer the remaining 2 live.
I'm going to find it here. On days a child that not attend virtual, can they use online learning? And is that a choice? I'm not sure I'm 100% tracking that question.
I'll try to answer that how I'm seeing it, I guess. On days a child or children do not.
I understand. It's so if my child is not attending, I believe what the question is, if they're not attending, I think in person is what how I'm reading that, then would they be able to use online?
You want me to?
Mary, are you able to ask that question just to clarify and make sure we answer it right?
All right, go ahead, Mary. Thank you.
Hi. Yeah, do you guys hear me?
Yep,
Yes, we definitely do.
Okay, I was just asking in case my child also does just visual, or they're going on day one and two, or day 3 and 4, right?
Mhm.
But they're home for 3 days. Are they able to do online learning if they want to? Or the parents is able to help? Or that's not an option?
So
Does
if you
that make sense?
Yeah, I think you're talking about if your child's participating in the hybrid model. So if your
Yes.
child is a 1, they come on Monday, every Monday to start for the first 4 weeks, and then they're home Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? And the first 4 weeks, that's what that looks like. And so yes, you will be provided online lessons daily, Monday through Friday, whether your child is at school physically or at home. And if they're participating in the hybrid mode, their classroom teacher at Mitchell will be providing both synchronous live instruction when they're here, and then they will be providing video lessons and practice opportunities online for your child too. So your child will have instruction Monday through Friday, whether they're here physically or not. And that will be on Google Classroom, and your teachers will share out all that information in the conference week on the week of the 31st when they contact you.
All right, a couple more questions coming in, really good ones. Will all children in the same grade level that have Kate Mitchell as a home school have, oh, that was just answered, but maybe we can answer it live as well, will they? I was reading it, I didn't catch the end, but thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Eric. I didn't.
Good.
Okay, so the question was, I'm just going to give an example. So if my 3rd grader is 100% online learning, will my 3rd grader have a 3rd grade teacher from Kate Mitchell? And the answer is maybe not. We will be grouping all the 100% online students, we as in the district, not the teachers, will be grouping the students together. So all 3rd graders that are requesting 100% online will go together, and then we will find a teacher that will match for that group. So we may be,
Miss Mixdorf might be Christy Mixdorf might be able to speak more specific on that since she's a little closer in that work. Christy, do you want to provide any guidance on that too?
I think Charlene was
Okay.
was doing it well. The only thing that I would add is we are working hard to keep students from the same building together, but we can't guarantee that, but it is one of our priorities as we work to put those rosters together for students. But you're right, it may not be a Mitchell teacher that is teaching.
Can parents request which day or which group they are a part of?
I was waiting. Are you?
Yeah, I was doing
okay.
Quick answer, no. Parents can send in that request and we will keep a list of that. If we're able to honor that, we will try, but I wouldn't want to give an answer that's maybe misleading or disingenuous, right? We are going to prioritize ensuring family families stay together in this cohorting process of 1, 2, 3, 4. And in doing so, we cannot make guarantees that we're going to be able to honor parent requests about which day they would prefer.
There's a question about the hybrid model and how much time each day can be expected to have synchronous meetings or synchronous learning.
So if your child's participating in the hybrid model, or are you talking, Christy? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I'll give you my take and then Christy can add to it. But so how much time each day in a hybrid model will kindergartners be expected to have synchronous meetings? And so if they're in a hybrid model, they will receive live instruction, obviously, the day they are at school on site. When they're not on site and at home the other days, it will be more what we call asynchronous. So it'll be taped lessons that you can click on as a parent or a student at any time during the day to watch them pre-recorded. And then there will also be practice opportunities. There won't be really any synchronous happening during kind of that 2, 3, 4 day if your child's a 1, just because the teachers will be in session teaching live. But Christy, if you want add anything to add, go ahead.
The only thing I might add is in that phased-in approach, Wednesdays could have some opportunities for small group office hours or some interaction between school and home on those days as well, or on that day as well.
All right, we'll answer one final question, and then Justin, I'll give you an opportunity to wrap up. What would a class size look like in 100% online as far as size?
Yeah, I'll take that. We aren't sure yet exactly what that number is going to be. We are watching it closely. It will probably be a little larger than what an on-campus class size will be, but as those numbers come in and as we look at the staffing possibilities and match those things up, I'm hesitant to give an actual number.
Great, thank you. Justin, I'm going to give you an opportunity to wrap up this meeting.
Sure. I just want to thank everybody for coming on here tonight. I want to just let you know that we are really excited to try to work back to normal. You know, the students have been gone a long time. The teachers have been gone a long time. It's a crazy world we're living in right now, but we really do desire wanting to get back to school, see our kids again, continue to build those relationships and give them everything we got. And I hope that happens sooner than later. But in the meantime, we'll follow all the guidelines and we'll at least give it a go and try to get kids in the building and teachers in the building and try to get back to normal in a sense. And so I just appreciate all your support. And please know that I know I didn't cover everything tonight, that you may have questions and you'll have questions along the way. Feel free to email me, call the school at any time. And I'm happy to talk you through things if you're struggling with anything, have questions, what have you. And also know that we're going to continue as a team at Mitchell to continue to send you information all the way through up till school starts and then beyond, because we know that things are fluid, right? This isn't something, you know, the district has really worked tremendously hard, and this work started in March. It was hard work, and it was a lot of work. It was good work, but it wasn't like we had anything to really look back on and say, well, back in, you know, 85, we had the same scenario, and what did we do there? Or what happened there, and how'd that get handled? We really had to build a ship that didn't exist. But we've got a lot of brilliant people here names, and we've got a lot of hardworking people, dedicated people, and so we're going to continue pushing forward, and we're going to make this work. And just know that these plans are fluid. You know, just like with anything, you try something, you think you got the right answer, you try something with a structure or a system in place, and it goes south, and you weren't planning on that, and then you just need to go back to the chalkboard or drawing board and revamp, and we'll certainly do that. So just know that we will continue to send you updated information as a staff. We will send videos and different things like that along the way to give you as clear and precise picture of what to expect day one and beyond. So just looking forward to getting back on school grounds and get going in some ways. So that's what I got.
All right, that concludes our meeting. Thanks again to everyone who came on and the team at Mitchell. You did a great job. Thank you.